Hey, while you're just covering things, what do I tell people when they ask, well, I live in Europe and it's too late for me. Is there a recording? What's the standard answer to people who miss it? What do we, because a lot of people are missing it but don't want to.
So that's a great question. Thanks for asking. So this is actually streamed nightly on YouTube in real time and then automatically uploaded and archived to the Breath Church channel. We have 201 subscribers as of today. And we've been going every night since March 15th, 2 full calendar months. So the Breath Lab episodes once a month are the free educational roundtable discussions. Those will be uploaded shortly within a few days of each one to the Breath Lab YouTube channel. And we then have a Breath Church channel, which we're streaming on now. People can join. And also, Dan, we've been doing this for 2 months every day. We can begin to talk about changing it up. We can begin to find some Breath brothers and sisters in Europe who want to use this link maybe and begin to lead a similar type of thing. We can begin to onboard people who want to, begin to share the love and the language of their choice and the time zone of their preference, because Eastern Standard Time is not the only time in the world. And we're aware of that. Although most people don't think we are. Welcome to everyone joining. I see all these new faces. That's amazing. Welcome to Breath Church. Breath Church is a non-religious, all-inclusive, breath-based community of people. And we believe that, hey Gigi, nice to see you again. Welcome back. We believe that breathing better makes for better humans. And well, not to be too simplistic about it, but better humans might just accidentally make for better humanity. What do you think about that? Alex says, we are loving this down under. Alex, you are such a breath brother from another mother. I can't wait to meet you. Dan, all these people that you've congregated around the world are coming here and they come to church on a regular basis. And I don't know him, but I gotta tell you, this Alex kid's got moves. This guy can dance. You got to look out for him. All of you people down under hanging out with Alex and Keith. Don't watch out. Keith's in Florida here in the U.S. We might have to have a Breath Brother dance off one night around this Bill Withers nonsense that we've been dancing to. And when I say nonsense, I say that with the most reverential use of that word. Bill Withers provides us with our evening classic. Every night we turn our cameras on and we get loose and we dance to Lovely Day. We started it on day 2 and we see no reason to stop. So that's actually how we end. Who else is in the house tonight? We've got 1 more minute till we press record and go. Is there anyone here who wants to introduce themselves and maybe wants to give us something that's going on in your life that's either incredibly, incredibly good or that you just want to leave here with the community? This is a real community. We do care. And the rule here is, the only rule is, if you have a little, you leave a little. If you need a little, you take a little. So while we have a quick minute, if there's anyone who just wants to pop in and share something amazing or something that they'd like us to breathe for tonight, we have 1 minute. Ready, set, go.
Hey, Dan, it was a classic ending today in the Breath Lab. Yeah, it was great. Thank you.
So Breath Lab. Dan Brule and I were in this thing earlier, those of you who just joined. Breath Lab is our education division. This is the experience of breath. The time is now 6 p.m. I want to reward everybody who has shown up on time. Thank you very much for being here. This is Breath Church. I've asked my breath brother and teacher, breath master, Dan Brule, to tell some stories about the music that matters to him. And we're trying to have an experience here at Breath Church in a very different way. We want to actually begin to connect with music and breath and sound and body and begin to train ourselves to have experiences in our breath. Because as Dan has taught me, the breath is a mechanism. It's the means by which we can breathe, as I would like to say, a better class of chemical into our brain and body with nothing but ambient room air in our imagination. So with that, I am so pleased to welcome you to another Breath Church. I'll be DJing tonight, and Dan's got some picks and some tips and tricks and hits and stories for us. Dan Brule, please take it away, my brother.
Yeah, thank you, Sage. You just as you were talking, it came to me, we all have read or heard or understand or know that if you analyze the chemicals in teardrops, that tears of joy are chemically different than tears of sadness, and so on. So it's not a big leap to imagine that different breaths, if you were to analyze a breathing when you're sad, when you're joyful, that you would have a unique breathing signature also. So everybody has some experience of a song that you hear on the radio, and it takes you back to a certain time. And so one of the songs that I asked Sage, our DJ, to play tonight is a song called Dreamweaver. I think some of you probably weren't even born then. When it was on the charts was 1975, 76, in that period there. And the song, you know, takes me back to my days in prison, in a military prison, where I actually, well, it was something really beautiful, probably one of the most beautiful things that I've ever experienced happened to me. It was a moment of awakening. It was a period of having broken through and transcended my immediate reality, let's say, and touched something expansive and undescribable, but completely life-changing. And then when I re-entered my reality, I was coming from a different place. I had a different view of everything. An enlightened view, an inspired view, an expanded view. I had a heart-opening experience. And the information and the energy coming through my heart was overriding what was coming through my head and even what was being registered in my body. So it was I could say it was a heart-opening experience. And so that song is called Dreamweaver. And one of the things we want to do, especially in this format, is we are all creating ways of using the breath to connect to music, using the breath to listen to music in a new way, right? So when people tell me, for example, during their workout, I trained a triathlon, some people, and I got a great email back from somebody said, wow, I couldn't believe it. When I got on the bicycle, and that was usually the worst part of the triathlon for him was the bike. And he said, when I got on, I decided my only focus was going to be the breath. And that was exactly what he did. He didn't think about pedaling. He didn't think about anything. He just thought about breathing. And he found himself at the end of that leg of the triathlon with not burnt out, not exhausted, not tired. He was totally amazed that he had kind of overcome that most difficult thing. So, and we now talking about people who are dancing. And when you begin to focus on your breathing while you dance, a different quality of movement comes through you. And so we want to take that same principle and apply it to listening to music. So one of the principles that we teach in general in breath work is that when you look at something, don't just look at it, breathe it in. Right now, look around in where you are, it's familiar settings, find something you're familiar with, look at it, but when you're looking at it, use your breath to actually connect to it. Do a little experiment. Look at some detail. Try to look for some details that you might normally not catch. And as you're looking at something, breathe into it and imagine drawing the energy of it into you with the breath and using your breath to reach out and touch it with your awareness. So a way of using the breath to connect to something you see. You can do the same thing to something you feel, something you hear, something you touch. Yep. So when it's like looking out through the breath, it's like the breath is another way of connecting. And so while you're listening, you're using your breath to penetrate what's coming at you and to become absorbed in what it is you're listening to. So this song, Dreamweaver, when it played, all of us prisoners, whenever the song came on the radio, we would shut off the lawnmowers, put down our shovels, stop what we were doing, and we'd all close our eyes and we would just disappear into the music. Do that with your breath.
Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train.
Breathe in the lyrics.
Try to take away my worries of today.
Use your breath when the music changes. Change your breathing.
Behind. Ooh, Dreamweaver, I believe you can get me through the night.
Imagine you are a conductor and your baton is the breath, and you are leading the music with your breath. So one of the principles we're developing and exploring is using your breath like a percussion instrument to keep beat with whatever music you enjoy. If you're listening to a waltz, you're going to breathe in a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so you get creative as you're listening to music, and instead of tapping your foot or moving your body, you move your breath. And you'll find that your body also moves to reflect what you're doing with the breath. And now we're entering an experience in a different way, and it's going to unlock some beauty that we never registered before. Something gets uncovered, something gets amplified, right? So that's the theme, that's the focus today, on how to get creative using your breath to connect to music. Now, music could be someone speaking, And you apply this practice. You apply this practice to when you're listening to someone speak. And if they begin to speed up their breathing, they speed up their talking, you speed up your breathing. If they have pauses in their speech, you pause in your breath. You begin to use your breath to somehow connect to the rhythm and the melody and the ups and downs and starts and stops and goes of a communication, of a movement. Hey, you could do this. Imagine riding a bicycle or driving a car, going around corners, going up hills, stopping, taking off. And you find ways to integrate your breath into that. And when you find a way to integrate your breath into a hug, literally a hug, which is becoming not socially allowed or acceptable. I'd like to address that really quickly. We have to be really careful these coronavirus days. Yes, we want to be conscious. Yes, we want to honor and respect the social distancing rules and masks and all that, but it's not natural. And humans are social animals. And I don't know how long we can keep up kind of an artificial way of being. Humans need to interact on all levels and exchange energy on all levels. And that happens when we breathe. And so, you know, we want to make sure that we don't let paranoia cause us to fall into a new unnatural normal. So let's use the breath to connect more deeply with what we love, who we love, what we love doing, what we enjoy, and get creative with your breath. How can you use your breath to enjoy music more? So I also like the analogy of a conductor playing with that baton. And you didn't write the music, but you can pretend that you're directing the music, and that baton is your breath. And so you're the conductor. You can make it up. I always wondered, you know, when you see the conductor in front of the orchestra, all those musicians have rehearsed together. They all got the same music in front of them. What do they need that conductor for anyway? You know, all they need is somebody to go 1, 2, 3, go. And then everybody starts and they all know their part and everything comes together. So, but the conductor is the conductor. And in our own music, our inner music, the music of our soul, we are the conductor of that music. And if you are focusing on love while you breathe, your breathing is going to have a certain quality in the same way that any tears you shed while you're joyful will have a certain unique quality. And so what we want to begin to do is focus on really high, beautiful feelings, emotions, images, sounds, ideas, and then breathe with them and try to link or connect to those beautiful things with the breath in your own way. Merge with it, absorb, dive into it, ride it, be guided. Let your breathing be controlled by the music. Right? The music gets louder, your breath gets more intense. The music slows down, your breath slows down. Just get creative about this. This is one of the principles of breath mastery, and no one can teach it to us. We need to just start to get in the game ourselves. How can you creatively merge with an experience you love, like dancing, like walking in the park in rhythm to your footsteps, like listening to a cool piece of music, and what does the music make you want to do with your breath? And set your breath free to begin to dance to the music. Something powerful about rhythm. The rhythm of the music captures us, and you want the rhythm of your breath to release and express your spirit. You know, when you get your breath moving, it's almost impossible to sit still. So if your body wants to follow the movements of the breath, let it happen. But let the breath be the leader. You know, the breath can be like a hammer, pounding away at any limitations you have. The breath in a rhythmic hammer, pounding away at any limiting beliefs, any old stale structures need to be shattered, need to be dissolved, need to be loosened. This is such a lively rhythm. You should be letting your breath just go. Powerful rhythm. Loosening up the breath, setting it free, getting it moving. You know, one of the arts of breath work is being able to play with this wheel of breath. It's always turning. Even when the music stops, it goes into neutral and it just kind of idles. And then when an emotion comes, that wheel spins faster. When a beautiful experience comes, that wheel gets bigger to absorb that big experience. You know, what we need these days is a Richard Simmons of breathwork. And there used to be a Richard Simmons of breathwork back in the late 70s, early 80s. His name was Valin Dane, and he called what he did ecstasy breathing. We have a wheel of breath, and different music makes that wheel turn in a different way. The music driving the wheel, keeping the wheel turning. No pauses, no gaps, no stopping. Even when the music stops, the breath keeps turning in a gentle rhythm, waiting for the next piece to turn it up again. Now, if we ease off and slow down and take some long, luxurious inhales, and long, luxurious exhales. And put yourself into a slow, gentle, expansive breaths. No hurry. Long, smooth, expansive inhale. And a luxurious sigh of relief. Long, smooth, expansive inhale. I like to use a ooh shape on the inhale. It feels like I'm sucking energy and life in. I'm charging myself. And then a luxurious ah. A juicy ooh inhale. Long, smooth, expansive. And a big ah. Exaggerate the pleasure. Exaggerate the expansion. Exaggerate the relaxation. And then a very subtle, gentle wheel turning. Smooth, steady wheel turning. Your own rhythm you feel, keep the wheel turning. Inhale turns into the exhale. Exhale turns into the inhale. No pauses, no gaps. This beautiful, mystical, magical experience of merging the inhale with the exhale. Merging the exhale with the inhale. The inhale becoming the exhale. The exhale becoming the inhale. The inhale gives itself to the exhale, and the exhale surrenders itself to the inhale. And it's a smooth, continuous, connected wheel of breath, steady, continuous breathing pattern, in and out, in and out, or in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, or in, out, in, out. But it's a wheel. Allowing your breath to flow continuously. Continuous, steady, open flow of breath. The inhale merging with the exhale. The exhale merging with the inhale. Not two separate things. One thing with two phases in the cycle. And that's a very good practice to maintain. Just keep your breath continually flowing. See, it's like being a tennis player waiting for a serve. If you watch good tennis players, when they're waiting, the other player is serving. That other tennis player hasn't taken a position and is standing on solid ground. They're bouncing back and forth, going from one foot to the next. They're in continuous movement. They want to be ready for when that ball comes in any direction. And they don't know what direction it's going to come, so they just keep moving. They stay in a flow, bouncing back and forth, bouncing back and forth. And then they're already in motion, so then they can direct that movement better than initiating a movement when they see the ball coming. So when we keep our breath coming, it's like that. We're kind of open and we're ready for anything that life will bring. We're ready to inhale, we're ready to exhale. We're ready to receive, we're ready to give. And the breath is alive, and it can respond to whatever happens inside of us, and it can respond to whatever happens around us. The breath is intelligent. It will guide us if we set it free, if we clear away all the blocks to it, if we release the full power of it and we surrender to it. We find that the breath is like a rudder, and it helps us to navigate every experience. If an intense experience is happening, the breath rises to the occasion and allows us to meet that intensity. And when something sublime and delicate and subtle is occurring, the breath knows how to change and match that energy so we can get the most from each moment in life. So following your own feelings and making the breath a smooth, lovely, soft, flowing way of meeting your feelings, of experiencing your feelings, of expressing and reflecting them. You put into the language of breath whatever emotion you are feeling. You translate whatever you are experiencing into the language of breath. It's your own. You make it up. You create it. The game is to express and reflect with the breath what you are experiencing internally, in consciousness, on the feeling level, the psychological level, the emotional level, the social level. We want to develop the practice of looking out at the world through an awareness of our breathing. Looking out at the world through an awareness of our breathing. Experiencing events through an awareness of our breathing. So that if something happens, the first thing that responds is not our mind, is not our body, but it's the breath. And when we are lined up like that, when we are aligned with what is occurring, having the breath up front, then everything that follows has a different quality, and it's quite beautiful and can be extremely healing and enlightening and even miraculous. So it's sacred, but it's not serious. So I was thinking earlier today, and that's why the next piece I like Sage to play was based on, I got up this morning and playing with my breath as a conductor of a music. And the Beethoven piece came to me, that dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. And so I started doing this. And just using my breath to make all those movements and changes. So I love classical music, but one of my favorite versions of, well, I'm gonna let Sage just bring it on. It's, go for it, Sage. Put the breath up front. Put the breath up front.
feel that rock. Woo! Long as she got a job, the music will never stop. Run off of Beethoven, 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 digging the rhythm and blues. Run off of Beethoven, run off of Beethoven, run off of Beethoven, run off of Beethoven, run off of Beethoven. Digging the rhythm and blues. Run off of Beethoven. 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 Run off of Beethoven.
So, changing rhythms at the speed of the wheel. Dang. So you should be buzzing. You should be vibrating. You should be tingling. It's not about moving your body. It's about moving the breath and moving it constantly, continuously.
Do you remember 21st night, September? Love was changing the minds, tender, while chasing the clouds away. Our hearts were ringing in the key that souls were singing as we danced in the night. Remember, while the stars ruled the night.
So the music is just an excuse to get your breath moving. You know, at parties, it always drove me crazy. I'd be sitting in a party and people keep wanting to drag you and get up and come on, get up and dance, get up and dance. And I was saying, no, why don't you sit down and just move your breath as much as you're moving your body. Try that. So that's what I want to do. I want to get you, just move your breath, move your breath. If your body moves along with the breath, fantastic. But it's breathing first. In, out, 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 in, out. Lots of ways to get your breath moving with any music you like. Once the breath gets going, it doesn't want to stop. And that's what we really want to trigger. In the early rebirthing days, we had kind of a plan. We had seen this experience play out so many times, and it was just so amazing and so beautiful that we kind of focused on trying to help it happen, make it happen, trigger it, point people towards it. And the first thing was called the breath release. We were always trying to get to that point where a person had a breath release. And usually the breath released when the person got exhausted. They were trying to do it right. We kept coaching them. We kept pushing them to, okay, pull in more, let go, pull in more, a little faster, a little slower. And we had them so busy trying to control their breathing until they just broke through. Something in them just snapped, let go. And then suddenly the breath started to go by itself, exactly as how we had been trying to coach them to get it to go. And it just spontaneously started moving like that. And that was the rebirthing breath. And when that happened, we had the next event, which was called the energy release. So we had the breath release, and that triggered the energy release. And when we had the energy release, it was as if we merged with everything and everyone. It wasn't that we went from us doing the breathing or trying to do the breathing, and then something took over and started to breathe us. And when we surrendered to that, we disappeared into the breath itself. It wasn't that we were breathing, we were the breathing, we were the breath. A genuine mystical experience where your identity suddenly expands, and you're not your history, and you're not your problems, and you're not a man or a woman or a Republican or a doctor or a Democrat or a housewife or whatever. We transcended all that when the energy in the breath was released, and then we melted and surrendered to that energy. We came home to an experience of Sat Chit Ananda, consciousness, existence, bliss, just a pure experience of aliveness. And so that's what we want to do with the breath. We want to trigger a certain natural something. And play is nature's way of learning. So if we're going to learn how to do this, we need to play with our breath. And the more you play with your breath, the sooner something will click in it. And so that's what we're after here. I have music playing in my head most of the days. And so, yeah. So my breath has become like that person at the party. And as soon as the music goes on, they're on their feet dancing. So as soon as the music starts, your breath should just turn on and go with it. Breath sounds are good.
Gotta be cool, relax, get hit, get on my tracks, take a backseat, hitch home, take a long ride on my motorbike, you're ready, raise a little thing all alone. Listen, hold up, I just can't handle it. Listen, hold up, I'm
Now, there's a very beautiful principle in the Chinese approach to breathing, and that is balance. So after we do something rapid like that, take a few moments before we go into another and breathe slow and gentle. Absorb and integrate the energy that you have activated before you activate more energy. It's a very important principle when we're guiding ourselves in a breathing session to integrate the energy as it gets activated. We do a cool piece of music and we're riffing and roaring and going and starting and charging and energizing. And then we keep the breath moving, but we change the quality of it to absorb the energy that got activated, to melt into the energy that we're feeling. And now we're using the breath not to listen to music, but to take all that energy that got activated and absorb it, integrate it. Let it fuel us, let it heal us, let it renew and restore and charge us. So we activate energy and then we integrate it. And we integrate it with soft, flowing breathing. Everything out the breath should be elegant and smooth and graceful. Nothing sharp, nothing forced. There's a softness, there's an ease, there's a flow. So the Chinese approach things, if you're going to do something active, before you do that active exercise, do a quiet meditation before, and then afterwards do a quiet meditation. And if you're going to do a quiet meditation, Then before you do an active exercise, and then after you do an active exercise. I love that principle of bringing in the yin of the yang and the yang of the yin, and keeping our balance as we go forward, as we ascend, as we transform. We got to be careful we don't push ourselves more than our system is ready. It's like the cup is full and you're pouring more stuff in, and the cup is just overflowing. So we absorb and we integrate, and then we hook up, we take in more, we activate. So activate, integrate, activate, integrate. Little bites going forward. We're growing, we're healing, we're becoming more alive, more in tune with our body, and the breath is our leader, is our guide, is our gauge. So right now, I'd like you to focus on what you think is most important. Today's Saturday. Going forward from today, is there something you want to remind yourself of? There's something you want to remember to do or be or express or meditate on? What would serve your growth? What would serve your healing most? What do you need to focus on? What do you need to remember? What do you need to remind yourself of? What do you need to practice? You know, when we've activated a lot of energy, we are open to information. It's a good time to ask important questions and see what bubbles up out of this feeling of aliveness from head to toe. We use breathing to create this feeling of aliveness on the cellular level, so you can feel every cell in your body percolating, boiling, vibrating, tingling. And then from that electric vibratory state, you ask yourself what's important. You remind yourself of who you want to be and how you want to be. And all that energy that got activated now has a direction to go. It can be formed and shaped into something. That is what we hold in consciousness. So finishing today, I want you to, let's end on that. What's really important? What do you want to remind yourself to turn to and to focus on? What do you want to develop in yourself? What do you want to, what's the highest thing in you that you want, that you could express? What kind of energy do you want to fill yourself with? What kind of energy do you want to put out into the world? And when you're asking yourself these questions, guess what you're doing? You're breathing. And then the answer doesn't come from your head. The answer comes from your being, your total being. So every breath is a blessing. Every breath is a gift, and every breath can be a prayer, and every breath can be a seed that we plant. And it doesn't take long to reap the harvest of even a few minutes of conscious breathing. I want to thank you guys for showing up. I'm going to turn this over to Sage to take us out. Any announcements and so on? Hey, one quick announcement. India, we all have our fingers crossed that come September, things will be normal enough, and we really feel like they will. We're planning our India trip in September. Small group, everybody needs to apply and get interviewed by me and Anastasia, but it's going to be epic. Really, if you're feeling the call to India, let me know, let Louise in the office know, let Anastasia know that you're interested in India, and maybe we'll include you in our little group. And so anyway, that's one thing I want to talk about today. And I'm turning it over to you, Sage. Thank you as usual, man. I really want to acknowledge Sage for like just showing up. And when he said, listen, I'm going to make a commitment to get on Breath Church every single day, I leaned back and I went, wow, man, God bless you. I wish I could make that kind of commitment, but time zones and all kind of other things happening. So Man, thank you, Sage, for keeping it up. And I think you've inspired and motivated enough people that others can begin to step up in Breath Church during the week, take over, lead portions. And hey, we are smarter than me. We're all in this together. There's always somebody at least one step above you on the ladder and only one step behind you under the ladder. And so, hey, we're all helping each other. So thank you, Sage. This is really fun, really cool. And thank all you guys for showing up.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Dan. Yes, we are in fact in the process of looking for Breath brothers and sisters who are interested and qualified to take care of the flock, as it were. It's a real community. People reach out and they have real stuff going on. And so we need real people who are qualified and trained, but also we need breathers to just breathe and come. And so let's just all take a second. Let's just take 1 minute and let's breathe for somebody that we know, because the rule here, the only rule is if you have a little, you leave a little. If you need a little, you take a little. And because, like Dan says, we're sucking off the same bubble of air here, somebody in this group right now needs something you have. And you need something somebody else has. So let's just all trust. Peter Litchfield earlier today talked about the inhale and exhale and the trust factor. The inhale is about trust. I don't gasp for air because I trust that there's more. And in the last 2 months, 60-something days, we have learned to trust. I trust Keith because Keith shows up every night, by the way. Keith breathed his first time here at Breath Church and has not missed a single night. Going on 40 days, 43, 44. Yeah, he's rocking it, guys. We have a brand new Breath brother made hard. He's just completely born again, Dan, this guy. But this is a real community. So let's just take a second. Close our eyes. Let's inhale and exhale with no music. Just the sound of your own breath. For the people in this group.
You know, just having an open heart that other people needs, it automatically moves in that direction. Anything you are open to and willing to receive that someone else is putting out, it automatically moves. The energy is intelligent. We just open to it. We invite it. We send it out like a flower, sending out a fragrance. And whoever walks by can take in the fragrance. Giving and receiving are the same thing. You know, it's an expression, but when you have a genuine experience that giving is receiving, that's what circular breathing brings us to. An unarguable experience that giving is receiving, that receiving is giving. So right now we're all open, we're all breathing, and the energy knows which way to go, from who to who, when and how. And we just trust that that process happens all by itself as we have a heartfelt intention to just breathe and connect.
And now welcome back, coming back into this space and place and time. Welcome back into your skin suit, the space suit we all inhabit as we live on this rock, hurling around a gas ball, flying through the multiverse at ludicrous speed. This is Breath Church every night, 6 to 7 p.m. And we have a special way of ending. It started on day 2. We haven't stopped yet. The late, great Bill Withers wrote one of the best songs for our current situation that I could ever imagine. No matter what, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what's going on, it's never not, ever one of these. So I invite you to get up, turn your camera on, shake what your mama gave you, and move as a community. It's never not a lovely day. Let yourself be seen. Come on. Shake it a little.
When I wake up in the morning, love, and the sunlight hurts my eyes, and something without warning, love, bears heavy on my mind. Then I look at you, and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you, and I know it's gonna be a lovely when the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face, when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you and the world's all right with me. Just one look at you and I know it's gonna be a lovely
day. Move, everybody. Got one more chorus. You always go big on the chorus at the end. Throw your arms up and sing. No one can hear. Scream it out.
When the day that lies ahead of me seemed impossible to face, and when someone else instead of me always seems to know the way, then I look at you and the world's all right with me. I just one look at you and I know it's gonna be a lovely
mercy. This Breath Church. Every night at 7 p.m. Thank you, Dan Brule. Thank you, everyone. We know your time is precious, and so you're spending this time with us is absolutely incredible. We honor you. We thank you. I will see you here tomorrow night for Super Sequence Sundays. That's the Sparkly Jacket night. Who knows what happens on Sundays? Sometimes I play my violin live. Sometimes I read poetry. Sometimes we breathe to who knows what. Anyway, I'll see you all here tomorrow. Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for your teaching, your insight. Thanks for the experience. Thank you all, everybody. If no one's told you yet today, I love you. I'm proud of you. We freaking did it. We did it. One more day, everybody. We'll see you soon.